Test, test, test. We're ready? All right. Every minute of life's a chance to live in love. Every choice, every path, a chance to live in love. Every day of my sacred life, may I live in love. It grows up from a seed first, sweet release. It's a river that will never run dry. It branches out and reaches up and keeps on going past the sky. It's called living in love, let's give it a try. Every minute of life's a chance to live in love. Every choice, every path, a chance to live in love. Every day of my sacred life, may I live in love. It's thoughtful and it's wise, giving hope and shedding light. It's a feeling no one ever outgrows. It spreads its wings and lifts us high and shines compassion from inside. It's called living in love, let's give it a try. Love is always moving, 'cause it really can't be still. It's alive and it's real. It teaches us to feel. Every minute of life's a chance to live in love. Every choice, every path, a chance to live in love. Every day of my sacred life, may I live in love. Every day of my sacred life, may I live in love. Every day of my sacred life, may I live in love.
Wow, thank you. I love that. Living in love. That's always a challenge every day, right? Welcome, everybody. I am Jeff Tawney. I am the spiritual leader here at Unity Center North Spokane. I'm also going to serve today as the platform assistant. So you can either judge me on my platform assistant or judge me on spiritual leader, or just don't judge me at all and let's just live in principle. Want to welcome you, where we are about our mission of touching hearts and transforming lives. When I first came to Unity about 7 years now, I was touched by, I came out of evangelical, a lot of some new people here today. I came out of evangelical Christianity, and the thing that really touched me about Unity it wasn't all about doctrine. It was just about how do we change this world? How do we touch our hearts and change the world? So it was very meaningful to me. Our mission, of course, is to touch hearts and transform lives through the power of unconditional love and acceptance. We embody a spiritual community that emphasizes personal growth, living consciously, and making a positive difference in the world. And I'm going to rely on Byron here to change our slides. We start with our opening affirmation, and that affirmation is very much a unity thing, and that affirmation is, there is only one presence and one power active in my life and the universe, God the good. That is an affirmation, again, that is part of unity. Today, I will be speaking, be the final part of my series that I've been doing on the Sacred Series. Today will be on sacred activism, and sacred service and activism. But we've been building up to this point, and I'll be talking about that, and then we're going to be continuing to be blessed by our musicians, Sandra Marlowe on the piano, and then we have Chris on the drums, and Robert on the clarinet, or what are you playing today, Robert? Clarinet? Soprano sax. And then we have Nikki as our vocals. And so, yes, I'm going to take this moment and I'm going to invite Joanne to come up and read our daily word.
Okay, today's daily word is taking good care of myself, supports of my healing. Sometimes it's hard to say no to friends, family, work, for church, or volunteer organizations I care about and want to serve. But when I am overextended and depleted, I don't do my best, and I may put my emotional, physical, or mental health at risk. Taking on too much and saying yes to every request may be a sign that is something deeper within me that is out of alignment and in need of healing. Perhaps I am feeling fear of judgment or a reluctance to disappoint someone. I heal when I slow down, pray, and become God's grace. I treat myself gently and make time for relaxation a priority. Secure in divine love and know when to say yes or for my well-being to kindly put confidently say no, not this time. Bless the Lord, O my soul, and do not forget all his benefits, who forgives all your iniquities, who heals all your diseases. That's Psalm 103:2.
Thank you, Joanne. Yeah, give her a hand, because she knew she was doing that about 5 minutes ago. So thank you, Joanne, for being a good sport and doing that. I appreciate that. Typically, our platform assistant would ask somebody ahead of time and give you plenty of time for rehearsal. But anyways, yeah. So we're going to take this time and greet one another. You can do it. If you're not a hugger, then just give a fist bump or a high five. We do like to hug if you're a hugger. So feel free. If you all just take a few moments here to greet one another.
You forgot to tell them they need to stay standing for the sing-along, kids. And we should have lyrics. Yes, yay. And here we go. 2, ready, and...
Weave us together, weave us together in unity and love. Weave us together, weave us together, together in love. We are many textures, we are many colors, each one different from the other. But we are entwined with one another in one great tapestry. Weave us together. Weave us together in unity and love. Weave us together. Weave us together, together in love. A moment ago, still we did not know our unity, only diversity. Now the Christ in me greets the Christ in me in one great family. Weave us together. Weave us together in unity and love. Weave us together. Weave us together, together in love.
Yeah, nice.
You all may be seated. Whenever I hear that song, I think now of Reverend David McClure's new book, The Healing Tapestry, right? And that I know last week my meditation was about the coming together. But I just think it's so fitting. And in David's book, it's talking about how we come together and how life creates these experiences that create a tapestry for healing. So if we'll just take a time during this time of meditation, if you all just kind of feel yourself in your chair. If you're new to meditation, meditation is a form of prayer. It's a form of centering ourselves and opening ourselves up. It's a way of quieting our minds, coming together as a collective. So if we'll just take the moment to just get yourself comfortable, maybe place your feet on the floor, hands on your lap, just rest, relax. If you've had a stressful week or you're still thinking about, just allow your shoulders to drop. You don't need to hold up anything right now. Now's your time to relax, connect, become centered in this space. If we will all just take a deep breath together in, and exhale. Again, breathe in. And exhale. This is your opportunity to just let things go. It's only for a while. If you're having a problem quieting your mind, just allow those things to just push aside. Just move it to a side. Whatever it might be. Imagine it's a leaf in a stream. You're just going to allow it to flow down the stream for now. When I'm on my way to the center, my drive reminds me that each of us is coming to this place with burdens, with joys. We're all coming from different spaces in life. Different experiences. But as the song said, we weave into a continuity, into oneness. May this time allow us to come into contact and connection with the Christ consciousness in each one of us. Let's take a breath together again. And exhale. Divine Spirit living through, in, and as each one of us. Thank you for this opportunity that we have to gather together in this space, in this safe, sacred space that we call Unity Center of North Spokane. We thank you for the resources you give us, for the treasure you give us, for the talents that come together. May this time be a time of connection, love, and joy. And together, let's say, and so it is. All right. Well, good morning. So as I said kind of in the warm-up, that this series, one of my favorite authors and pastors, spiritual leaders in the community, or in the country, is a gentleman by the name of Rob Bell. And Rob Bell had one of the first talks I ever heard Rob Bell talk about was the fact that everything in our life is spiritual. And he did a talk, and if you ever have a chance to go online and YouTube it, he did this talk called Everything is Spiritual. And he went through this, he has like this, 14-foot or 16-foot whiteboard in which he goes across and he describes how everything in our life is connected and is spiritual. And so when I look at things going on, one of the things that helped me see is that everything in our life that we do has a spiritual element to it, a spiritual element of truth. So we can't just say, well, this is spiritual and this is not, or this is truth and this is not, because they're all connected. And it's been on my heart as I see how we are as a culture, as a country, of recognizing, of coming back to the place of where we are sacred and how we're all connected. We have people leaving churches and spirituality because they have opposite sides or points of view. They're divided by issues instead of being united. And I wrote down, and I look at that and think that I didn't create this series. I just basically channeled what was coming to me at the time and how this thing developed. But there are people, and hear my heart, there are people in this room that I disagree with on certain issues. But just because we disagree doesn't mean that I don't love you. It doesn't mean that we can't have alignment and that we can't have something. I think we all agree that there may be different views and different points of view that we want. And I think the commonality is it's not the what, it's the how. How can we come together, and how can we come together? I'm going to repeat this quote that Marilyn sent me in the first week of the series about community. And that is that community is, well, while we were alone, we believed that we loved everyone. And now that we're with others, we realize how incapable we are of loving, how much we deny life to others. So community brings us a painful revelation of our limitations. In community life, we discover our own deepest wound and learn to accept it. So our rebirth can begin. It is from that very wound that we are reborn. In the past week, or in this past series, we started off talking about the sacred ground in which we walk. And that sacred ground I identified 10 things in which every one of us has in common as a human being. And those 10 things are points of contact for us. We talked about the sacred walk in which we are all connected. While we're all connected, we all have 3 things that we desire, that we live by. Spiritual elements of our life, emotional elements of our life, and physical elements of our life. And that walk is how we learn to become our higher selves. And then we talked about building a sacred community. So now we've got this, it's almost like a recipe, right? We're baking a cake, right? And so we have all these ingredients, and we have these things that bring us together. And then what is it about building a sacred community? A sacred community meaning that we have a shared spiritual intention, that we recognize that there's a recognition of the divine in all. The space is safe and sacred. We have mutual growth and support. The practices that awaken the heart. Commitment to healing and wholeness. And then last week I talked about creating sacred safety in this community. Because we all want a safe place physically to come and connect. We all want a safe place emotionally that we can connect. And we all want a safe space spiritually that we connect. Now, one of the things I really like, probably one of the biggest foundational things for me with unity, is that unity doesn't teach you how to believe certain things, or we don't judge certain beliefs. So we have people that have come through those doors that have either been, that are Mormons, or atheist, or Wiccan, or Christian, or don't know where they stand in their path. And the beautiful part is, it doesn't matter where you are, because we recognize that we all connect in this thing that makes us human. So it's not about the fact that you're going to come here and someone's going to try to change who you are or what you believe. It's a matter of, well, how can we connect and create a community where everyone is valued, everyone is seen, and we recognize all those things. One of the things I introduced you to last week was the idea, the courage to hold sacred tension. Sacred tension. And the idea with that is that in those times where we're having a conflict and we disagree, can we be okay with the tension that is created? Because a lot of times we can't. We have it in family, we have it in friends, and that tension is something that is we're not comfortable with it because we don't know what to do with it. And so in some cases we just discard the relationship because I can't handle the tension that goes on there. But we have problems with tension. Conflict in a place of holding sacred tension is we're saying that conflict is not feared. It's embraced as a teacher. That what comes up in front of us, that thing that presses against, is an opportunity to teach us something. That the community practices staying present through discomfort, trusting that Spirit works in the friction. Everything's here to teach us something. Forgiveness, repair, and reconciliation become part of our spiritual disciplines. So rather than dismissing the tension, or rather than running from the tension, we sit with it and we hold space for that tension. Because in that opportunity of that tension is an opportunity for us to learn something, not just about ourselves, but about the other person. I've been going through something personally in the last couple of months, and it's caused me to really look at some things that I haven't been comfortable with. I've had a couple of breakthroughs in the last 2 weeks. One of them had to do with loyalty. Loyalty. Because I went through a breakup, and I expected the people around me to have that same sense of loyalty that I have. And so I struggled with some friends and that sort of thing because I didn't feel like that loyalty was being reciprocated, and I recognize it's my issue. And this week the breakthrough came for me when I recognized where was that seed planted in my life. It goes back to little Jeff at 10 years old when my parents split. And my mom, in her brokenness and in her anger and her bitterness, exemplified what loyalty should look like to a little boy. It was wrong, of course, but my mom was broken and she was hurting. And so during that time, I saw arguments break out in the family. Like, how could you go talk to him? How could you even take a card from him? How could you go buy from him? Don't you realize what he did to me? And I remember family gatherings where we left early because of the tension that was exhibited during that time. So I could look at that and run from that and say, I'm just not going to deal with it. Okay? I've lost a couple of relationships, friendships, because they don't see loyalty the same way I do. But It's the relationships that are the most important thing to me. And so I recognize that that's my opportunity to bump up against something and learn from it. And so that's the practice that I'm going about. And so when things come up and they're not comfortable, my practice that I've been learning, and I haven't always been this way, friends, the practice that I'm learning is to press into it. Maybe I sit with the tension. Maybe I sit with that discomfort for a while. I don't have to do anything. I can just sit in it. And then after I kind of have an opportunity to recognize what's the bigger question, what's the bigger opportunity. So that's what sacred tension has been for me this past week. All right. So this week, and the final week, is talking about sacred activism. And what is sacred activism? Sacred activism is the intention of spiritual consciousness and practical action to bring healing, justice, and transformation to the world. Where traditional activism can burn out in outrage and spiritual practice can withdraw from worldly issues, sacred activism unites heart-centered awareness with courageous engagement. It's not a question as if you are a sacred activist. It's a question of if you can be effective. All of us are sacred activists. It's a matter of, do we have the tools? Can we learn the skills that help us take that to the next level? So sacred activism looks like this. If we have a community and all of a sudden we have a conflict in that community, how do we transform that conflict into growth? So in the conflict we have a heart agreement. That's an element. That's a piece that we need in transforming that conflict. Then we need spiritual intelligence. We need emotional intelligence. We discard dismissive behavior. And then social media, of course, plays in that more and more these days, unfortunately. So sacred activist looks like this. It's acts from love, not fear or hatred. It's recognizing the divine in all beings. It seeks solutions that honor the wholeness of life. It's practicing inner disciplines like prayer, meditation, forgiveness, and gratitude to stay centered and clear. And it embodies compassion in action, not merely intention. Oh, I'm missing a note here. Oh, darn it. Okay. Examples of that in practice in spiritual activism can take many forms. It can look like a spiritual community creating programs for environmental restoration. It could look like we're no longer using paper plates. We have a dishwasher. Let's use regular plates and put them in the dishwasher. We're a small community. We can do that. An individual practicing nonviolence and reconciliation in divisive times. What does that look like? And artists, teachers, and healers using their gifts to awaken compassion or justice. We look at the movements like Gandhi's, I can't pronounce this, what Gandhi did in nonviolence, Martin Luther King and his beloved community, and the Dalai Lama's compassion in action all embody aspects of sacred activism. In New Thought language or metaphysical language, sacred activism aligns with the principle that thoughts held in mind produced after their kind. It's activism that begins in the consciousness, affirming peace, love, and wholeness. Now, think of that. It's activism that starts in the consciousness versus the emotion. The emotion is the knee-jerk. Something happens, we have a knee-jerk reaction to it. Sacred activism goes into the consciousness to how do I connect those things. Myrtle Fillmore said that we are co-workers with God. Sacred activism is that partnership in motion, spirit working through human hands and hearts. So let me just paint a picture of what this might look like in this community. Let's say we have an issue in this community where we have some people in the community, a minority of the people in the community that believe one thing should happen, and we have a majority of the community that believe something else should happen. So the first thing is, can we come together as a community to look at the problem and how to fix it? Now, the danger is if some of us, or if there are people in that are emotionally charged from that situation and can't sit at the table, then there's a problem, right? Because now all of a sudden they are not able to participate in the dialogue because just the subject alone creates a charged response. So how do we work together? And we're looking at a community, we're looking at the whole of the community. Now, we had a situation here over a year ago in which there was a very strong response to an issue that we were working with. And there were people that felt we should just take the issue completely off the table rather than dealing with it. Because in their opinion, it was a non-issue. There was, it should be zero tolerance. And so the majority of us believe, no, this is an issue we need to pursue. If we are an inclusive community and we do believe in unconditional love, then we need to figure out a way that we create a safe and sacred space where everybody can be welcomed. And so we were in the process of working through what it would take to create that. I will tell you, to a person, outside of the people that were part of the core, that everybody I talked to in the community about this subject was in alignment and agreement with what we were doing. And I wasn't looking for people that would agree with me. I was just simply asking people in the community when they would say, how's your church going? What are you doing? Oh, we're doing this, we're kind of having this. And everybody to a T was in agreement with what we were doing. So what that told me was that what we are trying to do is recognized in the greater community as a good thing. But then we had a segment of people who had been hurt in that. And in that pain and hurt, they had a very reactive response. So we couldn't sit at the table because sitting at the table created all kinds of issues. What I'm trying to point out is that there are real life situations that are going on in our lives every day. And we have to find a way to come together. We have to find a way. But in some cases, people are in their emotional pain and in their healing, they can't necessarily deal with those things. And as a community, we have to keep moving forward in that growth. We can't allow one or two people that is going to hold the community in a position because they're still got habits or they still have hurts that are related to that. It's not that we're dismissing them. We're simply saying for us to move forward, this is what we want to do. What we have to look at is looking at the why and the alignment is not just about unity principles, but it's about humanity principles. The bottom line is that you must possess a life of emotional and spiritual intelligence to be effective in sacred activism, meaning that we have we all have emotions. There all is a spiritual element to life, right? And so having a level of intelligence of what that looks like and how we apply it is our opportunity for growth. So a child, there are certain things that a child, you can't talk to a child about because they haven't developed the emotional awareness, the emotional intelligence of of how to react in those situations. So we have to guard that child and help them, bring them to a place. We also must be in a place of being able to project positive intention into every human situation. Meaning that people are always coming with a positive intention about something. They're not there to try to create drama. They simply have things that are attached to the situation that is hard for them. But they have an intention of having connection. We also must be able to have the difficult conversations without being triggered. Difficult conversations without being triggered. That is a part of emotional and spiritual intelligence. So, sacred activism as it relates to, I'll say sacred activism in social media would look like this. How can I build bridges and not walls with social media? What's my intention and what's the post or response for? Is my presence more powerful than my position? And then we practice 3 filters before we share or before we post. Is it true? Is it kind? And is it useful? Second thing is, how do we build bridges with people or with political differences? Building bridges across political divides is really about practicing spiritual maturity in public life. We can begin with our shared humanity. We can listen to understand and not to try to convince. We can stay curious but not certain. We can share personal experiences. These are all ways in which we can build bridges on these political differences. Emotional maturity and sacred activism is a mature heart becomes an instrument of peace. We understand, in our emotional maturity, we understand the connection. In my struggle with loyalty, my emotional side said, I understand the connection that I have with these people, and I need to stay with it in order to maintain the relationship. If I was immature in my emotions, I would have said, enough of that, I'll find other friends. Spiritual maturity and sacred activism is that as we awaken, we act not to fix the world, but to reveal its holiness. I'll say that again. As we awaken, we act not to fix the world, but to reveal its holiness. It's the inner posture of the sacred activist. And then from intelligence, the knowing, to the maturity. How emotional and spiritually, how spiritual growth evolve from my awareness to the embodiment, and how do they come together? And then the other part of that is understanding social justice, the principle that everyone deserves equal access to opportunities, rights, and resources, regardless of race, gender, income, religion, ability, or background. Those are all parts of what it means to be a sacred activist. Jesus was a sacred activist. He didn't just preach love, he enacted on it. He didn't just talk about justice, he embodied it. He didn't just heal individuals, he confronted systems that caused suffering. He challenged the systems that harmed people. He lifted up those rejected in society. He modeled nonviolent resistance. He challenged economic injustice. He disrupted the status quo with radical inclusion. He practiced courageous truth-telling. He healed people as a form of liberation. He called people into a higher consciousness. He formed a community of practice. And how do you be good at something? You practice it. And in this environment, in this community, we have the opportunity to practice it. The men on pause, we came together on Friday night, and we talked about ego. And we had a long discussion about ego. In fact, John and another, I think it was Chris, said we need to keep this conversation going. So we had part 1 of ego. Next month will be part 2 of ego. Ego's a big thing, even though it's only 3 letters. And then Jesus lived a life rooted in unconditional love. So, in my close here, I just want to say that I recognize that a lot of the stuff that I've been talking about might be more about behaviors than it is about spiritual issues. But they are connected. And if we truly want to understand and have a community of compassion and empathy and understanding, we have to be in a place not of dismissiveness, but of inclusion, of connection. And I put my email address, I've been putting that on there because if you have a comment, if you have an exception of what I'm talking about, I want to hear from you. I want to know the areas, if I'm either connecting or I'm disconnected. I want to hear from you because I want to understand. Because I feel like that's part of not just my growth of myself, but also the growth of this community. So thank you all for this for this talk. I'm very excited about the next 2 weeks. The next 2 weeks, we get to talk about the Aramaic Jesus, the Aramaic Christian. I'm going to say Christianity, but next week Amber McKenzie will be here, and she'll be talking about the Aramaic version of the Lord's Prayer. If you look at, and I've been reading some books and listening to some audio stuff on the Aramaic Jesus, and it's blowing my mind because there's so much about that language that is. Anyways, so Amber will be talking next week, and then the following week, which is the last Sunday of the month, we will have a contemplative service here in which we will be doing songs and chants in Aramaic. And those songs and chants will be about Scripture. So we'll be looking at the Beatitudes, we'll be looking at the Lord's Prayer, and some of the other things. The gentleman that will be leading us is a gentleman by the name of Jonas, who I've done some, been in some other things with, and he speaks Aramaic, and it's beautiful to listen to him do the Lord's Prayer in Aramaic and that sort of thing. So we'll be doing that in the next 2 weeks, and then starting December, it'll be a month of Jesus. And it's going to be a month of understanding who Jesus was, is, and who he wasn't. And so I've got some fun things planned during that month as well as Christmas. So anyways, thank you all. As I say, I close every week, stay curious and be the blessing.
I am standing on the shoulders of the ones who came before me. I am stronger for their courage. I am wiser for their words. I am lifted by the longing for a fair and brighter future. I am grateful for their visions, for their toiling on this earth.
I am standing on the shoulders of the ones who came before us. They are saints and they are human. honored by their passion for our dignity. I will stand a little taller, I will work a little longer, and my shoulders will be there to hold the ones who follow me. My shoulders will be there to hold the ones who follow me.
Thank you, musicians. All right, this is our time for our tithes and offerings. If you're new to our ministry, if you're new to any kind of ministry for that matter, I mean, we survive, we get by on the gifts of others, of you all, and we recognize that it's not just monetary gifts that we all rely on. We all have a time and talent and treasure that we have to offer, and I recognize the musicians and what they do, and Wendy, and all of us have something that we bring together to help this community grow and thrive. So this is our time of offering. We do have a new way that you can actually give online. And if you scan the QR code there, you'll be taken to a new site that we have, a service that we subscribe to, and you can actually give that way as well. Or mail a check or whatever. Anyways, but this is that time of offering, so I'm going to invite the ushers to go ahead and stand. Thank you, Sandra. If you'll all join me together in our love offering. Divine love in, through, and as me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And I want to give a shout out to our South Hill friends, community. So when we go to do the Day of the Dead, we shut down here. In other words, we take our church and we go there. At least that's the idea of it. And so we don't necessarily have service going on here. And so when we do that and participate in all that, one of the things that South Hill has done the last 2 years that we've done that is they actually tithe back to us. And so this last week we got a very generous tithe from South Hill. I'll say very, very generous tithe from South Hill for our participation. And so I want to thank you, friends at South Hill, for that. And also I took delivery on, I forget, Monday, Tuesday, whatever it was, of a pretty much new snowblower from South Hill. Apparently it was something they weren't using, and so Tom met me here with it, and God bless him, Tom. We had a day prior week for that exchange, and Tom says, I can't get it started. I'm not going to give you a faulty, we're not going to give you a faulty, we're going to give you something working. And so he had it fixed and brought it here and started right up, and we just about mowed the grass with it. But anyways, we have a second snowblower, which the first one we have doesn't work so well. But anyways, I just want to thank South Hill for that, for thinking of us and remembering us. Okay, so in unity, we have this unity, our unity statement of peace. And I want you to all join me together as we say, unity stands for peace in the presence of conflict, for love in the presence of hatred, for forgiveness in the presence of injury. Unity honors the many names for God, the many paths to God, and the many ways to worship God. For there is only one power and presence of God, and that God loves each one of us equally. Unity urges all nations, their leaders, and their people to pursue peace, not war, for this is what honors the God of all our faith traditions. Thank you. All right, we're getting into announcements, and just so you know, go back one, Byron, I'm sorry. In that QR code, if you scan that, you can sign up to be a part of our newsletter that goes out. We don't spam you. We don't sell your name to any list. It's strictly for our purposes. We send one email out a week, and if there's something that we forgot in there that's time sensitive, you may get another one, but that happens very, very seldom. So just to make sure that you understand that we honor, when you sign up for a newsletter, we honor that. Go ahead, Byron, I'm sorry. So this week, last week I shared with you my struggle with anger, and then I was looking for 6 people. Well, I have to order more books because there's more than 6 of you that want to join me in that. So if you are, I've got more books coming. But if you're interested in joining us in this book on nonviolent communication by Marshall Rosenberg, I think from talking to everyone, we'll probably do it on a Sunday after church. So we'll have church service, we'll have food, and then we'll do the book study. And we're probably maybe 3 to 4 weeks on that. And I anticipate this will be an ongoing thing because they have a lot of things in that. And then if most of you know Dana, who is normally here, she's our licensed Unity teacher. She is an instructor for alternatives to violence communication, which she teaches in the prisons. We're going to have ongoing things with that. And all that is about helping us communicate. I know where my anger comes is my inability to communicate what I'm dealing with. And so I recognize that this is going to be helpful to me in that endeavor. So that's the book study. If you're interested, you can either talk to me afterwards or email. Second thing is today is Sacred Play on the first and the third Sundays of every month. We have Sacred Play. We hang out here from 1 to 3, and there's fun and games, and John's a big gamer. He likes to we have different board games. The last time we did that, unfortunately, Gonzaga women's basketball sometimes falls on the same Sunday as Sacred Play, and so I'm committed to Lady Zags, and so I didn't participate. But Kirsten, invented a game, created a game, and they played that game. And John said it was a fun game. So thank you, Kirsten, for doing that. But that's Sacred Play. The second Friday of every month, so we'll do this again next month, the second Friday from 5:30 to 7:30 is Men on Pause. We get together, have pizza, and pick a topic, and we just have a good conversation, meaningful conversation on that. And so that's the second Friday. And then every Sunday morning, now you're not, is it next week, the next 2 weeks you're gone? Okay, so Mert's gone the next 2 weeks, so we'll pick this back up in December. But in Sunday mornings between 10 and 10:30, he leads an acute Qigong, which is similar to Tai Chi and breathing and exercise. And Mert leads through that, and so you're welcome to join Mert during that time from 10 to 10:30. And then Sandra, you want to talk about the Diva?
The Divas are back with another holiday show. We are a collection of professional singers and musicians, and we put together a concert that includes pop and Broadway, jazz, blues. Gosh, what else is there? I forgot. Anyway, we will be at Hamilton Studio, which is the listening room, on December 5th and 6th. And in Post Falls at the Jacqueline Arts Center. We are a fun group of ladies. We share stories, we share female perspectives, and are very interactive with our audience, very cabaret. And we are actually selling really quickly. So if you're thinking about coming, please come see me. I have hard copy tickets, and we can talk.
All
we
right.
can work deals.
And I will testify
All right.
to their performance and their expertise.
Thank you.
All right. Well, speaking of expertise, we have some little ones that are expertise at being children. And so we're going to invite the kids in, and if you'll play that.
Yep.
Yep.
You are walking in the light, in the light, in the light. You are walking in the light of God. In the light, 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 in the light of God.
Now, I'm just going to recognize that you're part of a football team, right? Yep, look at these broad shoulders. And how did you guys do? Good? You didn't do just good. You kind of like dominated, right? Didn't you go undefeated? Yeah? Congratulations. Awesome. All right, so we are going to do our youth lesson together. Be the love you are. Sing the song you hear. Share your joy of life
With people far and near,
and for ourselves.
be the love we are. Sing the song we hear. Share our joy of life with people far and near.
Okay. Kids, you can go back. There's mom. Here comes mom. So the other one was a cheerleader. So we have a football player, and it probably was spurred on by his sister, the cheerleader. So, yeah. All right. So if you all stand and come together as we close with our peace song and prayer protection. I think it's more getting too difficult with the amount of people to do it. You can just join where you are. All right. Okay, so for those of you visiting, this is the only weird thing that we do is a peace song. And if you've ever been to a Unity church, it probably happens in every single one. So just so you know. All right, and together we do the prayer protection. The light of God surrounds us. I am the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. I am the love of God. The power of God protects us. I am the power of God. The presence of God watches over us. I am the presence of God. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well, and that's the truth. Thank you, everyone.
This holy light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This holy light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This holy light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. The light that shines is the light of life, lights the darkness from above. It shines on me and it shines on you, and it shows what the power of love can do. Gonna shine my light both far and near. Gonna shine my light both bright and clear. In any dark corner that I find, I'm gonna let my holy light shine. This holy light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This holy light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This holy light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. On Monday he gave me the gift of love. Tuesday peace came from above.
Wednesday told me to have more faith.
Friday he told me to watch and pray. Saturday he told me what to say. Sunday he gave me the power divine to let my holy light shine. This holy light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Oh, this holy light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This holy light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
You should have shouted it out.